Hello everyone and welcome back to LewisFiction, and in today's video this is your continuation of the Spectacular Spider-Man Season 4. If you are new around the channel and this is your first time watching, make sure to go back and watch Season 3 before you watch this video just so you're not lost. But with that out of the way, let's get straight into this. Episode 3, Physical Education, Part 2. We start our episode where the last one left off. Flash Thompson has gone missing and no one knows where he is. It's the day after he is missing. Flash never leaves school unannounced. Randy, Kenny, Gloria, nor Sally know where he is. Peter thinks it's also weird that Flash isn't in school either. He shares his concerns with MJ as they start to walk down the corridor, and MJ says that he's probably fine. Flash, despite how stupid he can be, isn't stupid enough to get himself into any kind of trouble. This relieves the tension within Peter slightly. Ever since weird things have started to happen around the city again with the engineering house raid or Taskmaster, Peter has been on edge trying to look out for suspicious activity. He never knows when the next threat could be around the corner. And task 1 at the moment on Peter's mind is to catch Taskmaster. Peter returns home that day and starts to do some research, but he can't find anything. This guy is completely anonymous. And then Aunt May knocks on his door. He says to come in. She opens it and tells Peter that she left a grocery shop at Feast before she left last night. Is it okay if he goes and picks it up? Peter says sure, and Aunt May thanks him. She will say she left it in Mr. Lee's office as she leaves. Peter says that this could be a good time and go out and search for Taskmaster as Spider-Man, because the last time he encountered him was just randomly in the street. Peter leaves for Feast and walks through the front door. Everything seems in order. He asks one of the people where Mr. Lee's office is. They tell him it's upstairs. Peter walks up to the office and knocks on the door, calling for Mr. Lee to open the door, but he doesn't. No one seems to be present. Peter opens the door and walks inside himself as it was unlocked. It's ominous. There are various different artifacts on the wall, weapons from old tribes, masks, armor. This seemed very out of the ordinary, and Mr. Lee didn't strike Peter as someone who would be into historical artifacts. The room was dark, with an old wooden kind of lighting that dimmed the vibrance of everything around him. The shadows were more prominent and the dark colours were darker. Then just before he could lock eyes with the shopping, Mr. Lee enters behind him and says, "Are you okay?" in a rather serious tone. Peter turns around and says he's sorry, and Mr. Lee brightens up saying he didn't realise it was Peter. Mr. Lee confidently walked over to the shopping bag that May had left in his office and says, "I assume you're looking for this." May said that he was coming. He hands it to Peter, and Peter says thank you, awkwardly leaving. We then cut to a room with a spotlight in the middle lighting up none other than Flash Thompson. A man enters the room and says that he will ask him one last time. Flash says that he is not Spider-Man. Taskmaster holds up a picture from Season 2 where Flash wore the Spider-Man costume and says this wasn't him. Flash's face drops as he couldn't believe what he was seeing. He says that was him pretending to be Spider-Man. He's not actually the real deal. Spider-Man is totally cool, he'll say. Taskmaster sighs and says that he's going to have to take a more serious measure soon. Flash's phone starts buzzing. Taskmaster picks it up, and Flash shouts to give it back, but he doesn't. And Taskmaster looks at the screen as it says Sally Averill is calling on the front of it. He says that if he doesn't comply, then his friends will die. We then cut back to Peter, who leaves and is swinging from buildings with the shopping in his hand. He then gets a call. He lands and checks his phone. It's Sally Averill. What? Sally Averill never calls Peter. This can't be good. He picks up the phone and Sally is frantic. She says that Flash hasn't shown up for their Friday night out. They've tried to call him and text him, but he's not responding. Peter says to slow down and start from the beginning. Sally says that Flash wasn't in school and now he isn't here. Something really bad has happened. Peter says that he's sure he's just busy or something. Sally says that Flash's idea of being busy is hanging out with them. He would never just ditch without saying anything. He's always the first one there and the last one to leave. Peter asks Sally why he's calling him, and Sally says since he takes pictures for the Bugle of Spider-Man, if he knows who he is. And Peter says he knows Spider-Man, kinda. Sally says to ask Spider-Man if he can help. Peter asks if they've called the police, and she says that they haven't. Peter says that if they're really concerned about this, then to call the police. Peter says to call him back later, and if nothing comes of it, then he'll inform Spider-Man. Sally says okay, and then puts the phone down. Peter sits there and thinks to himself that Sally is being a little dramatic. Although when you mention it, it is weird that Flash wasn't in school and then didn't show for their little get-together. Then his receiver goes off, saying there's an incident downtown. It's a kidnapping. In classic Spider-Man fashion, he swings on his way. Spider-Man arrives on the scene, to a van driving off. He thinks to himself this can't be good, so he swings towards the van, trying not to spill the shopping bag everywhere at the same time. He lands on the van and pokes his head through the window, to see none other than Taskmaster on the other side. His eyes widen as Taskmaster punches Spider-Man through the window, sending him flying. Taskmaster stops the van and steps out, saying that he found the wrong man. Spider-Man says, "What the hell does that mean?" And Taskmaster says that maybe his judgment wasn't as good as he initially thought, proving that there is weakness to him. They both engage in combat, with Spider-Man trying to ask why the hell Taskmaster is after him in the first place. What did he do to him? They both fight with Taskmaster, knowing Spider-Man's every skill and move, dodging and even using certain moves that are specific to Spider-Man against him. Peter notices this and will say to himself that he's got to find a way to defeat Taskmaster without using his powers. He needs to be more unpredictable. He needs to use his environment around him to defeat him. Spider-Man starts using fire hydrants and different lampposts, pulling them, throwing various objects at Taskmaster as well, catching him off guard. This battle will rage on, with Peter being even more predictable, using his wits and his smarts against Taskmaster. This will go on until Spider-Man eventually defeats him once and for all. He webs him up and takes his weapons off him. Just before Captain Stacy and the police arrive to the scene, Spider-Man opens the doors to the back of the van to see Sally, Randy, and all of Flash's friends inside. His eyes widen. Taskmaster had Flash this whole time. We cut to a scene where Flash reunites with his friends, and a nice moment where he fangirls over Spider-Man. Spider-Man steps aside with Captain Stacy, who says that's just another day's work. Peter said he'd agree if it wasn't for the fact that he ruined his aunt's shopping in the process as well. Stacy empathizes with Peter and hands him a $20 bill and says go get her some more on him. Peter says he can't take that from him, and Stacy says that he never asks for anything in return. And with all the good he's done and all the trouble he's got him and the police out of in the last 2 years or so, he deserves this win. Peter smiles under the mask and says thank you with sincerity. No one has ever taken pity on the destruction Peter's life endures due to Spider-Man as much as Captain Stacy. Stacy leaves, and Peter stands there joyfully. Peter returns home, all wrapped up from the cold weather, wearing the hat that MJ brought him as well. He hands Aunt May the shopping, and we end the episode on a nice moment as we draw to a close. Thank you guys for watching this episode. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit that like button, and also make sure you're subscribed so you do not miss episode 4, which will be releasing on Sunday. I'm really sorry for the delay on this episode. I've been really busy the last few weeks. Plus, the Across the Spider-Verse trailer is coming out tomorrow, so make sure you're subscribed to Lewis Films and Lewis News, because I'm going to be posting about the film on there. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, and peace.